In light of the Department of Justice Secretary Remulla's recent admission that key evidence in the drug war cases was allegedly destroyed and the subsequent decision to cede jurisdiction to the ICC, what is your comment on this?
Well, that's Secretary of Justice Remulla's claims. Once again, I'm not going to get into the truth or falsity of that. What I do know is that my client, Mr. Duterte, had nothing to do with destroying any evidence. Destroying evidence is a criminal offence. It was not done, and it was not done at his request on behalf of him.
Attorney Kuafman, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm perfectly well, and so is the former president, who's in good spirits.
How's our former president, Attorney?
As I told you, he's in good spirits. I've just come out from a legal visit with him here at the prison.
Attorney, my first question is that what's the effect of the report by Senator Marcos not being publicly available on the Senate website, given that it was referenced in your motion to challenge with respect to jurisdiction of the ICC? What is your comment on this?
Well, I believe that the report has now been restored to the official website. I'm not going to get into the legal argument. As you may be aware, the prosecution have argued that Mr. Duterte is a flight risk, and they base that inter alia on the argument that he has expressed through his counsel that his surrender to the court was essentially an illegal rendition. We believe that the report counters that. We believe that raising an argument as to the legality of the surrender is a legitimate legal argument. But once again, I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. This is litigation, and litigation should be conducted in court.
Yes. Thank you, Attorney. In light of the Department of Justice Secretary Remulla's recent admission that key evidence in the drug war cases was allegedly destroyed and the subsequent decision to cede jurisdiction to the ICC, what is your comment on this?
Well, that's Secretary of Justice Remulla's claims. Once again, I'm not going to get into the truth or falsity of that. What I do know is that my client, Mr. Duterte, had nothing to do with destroying any evidence. Destroying evidence is a criminal offence. It was not done, and it was not done at his request on behalf of him. Let me make that very clear.
Sir, Attorney, given that claim no available evidence exists and it is allegedly destroyed, to prosecute former President Duterte domestically, what evidence will the ICC rely on to pursue the case?
That's Secretary of Justice Remulla's claim that evidence was destroyed. I don't believe it. He might believe it. But I'm telling you, it's not true, and it was not done. Now, regarding the evidence that's going to be brought by the ICC prosecution, I'm not at liberty to disclose that. It's all confidential, and it would be wrong for me to disclose that to the media.
Attorney, do you think that is a legitimate concern or politically motivated?
I don't understand the question. What do you believe that's politically motivated?
That destroying evidence may obstruct justice or perhaps sort of cover up. Do you think that is a legitimate concern or politically motivated?
Former president did not destroy any evidence. No one on his behalf destroyed evidence. I'm not going to get into the argument as who destroyed evidence, but destroying evidence is a criminal offence. My client did not commit criminal offences. He's here facing charges that he did commit criminal offences, that he was responsible for an illegal drugs war. That is not the case.
Thank you, Attorney. Attorney Cristina Conte warned that any country agreeing to adopt former President Duterte for interim release risk being seen as a safe haven for a despot, for a murderer. What is your comment on this?
Well, I try to ignore the ramblings of Cristina Conte because it's really not quite good for my karma in the morning. But I don't know what position that lady has. She calls herself a legal assistant to counsel, that she's on the list of counsel at the International Criminal Court. I know that she's in communication with the Office of the Victims at the International Criminal Court. I believe that her comments, if they're true, I haven't seen them in the media yet, would be basically interference, and it would be unethical interference with the litigation that's currently being conducted on the subject of interim release.
Attorney, in light of the court's decision to dismiss your request to disqualify Judges Ganso and Flores, do you intend to pursue a motion for reconsideration of that?
No, I'm not going to. As I've said yesterday, that there has been new information which has come to light. I can't disclose that information, but it does affect the whether or not I would want to seek reconsideration of the request to disqualify. I don't believe there's a need for that anymore. Okay.
Attorney, I hope this will be able to answer this question. Can you walk us through some sort of a daily activities inside the detention facility of our former president, now that he's been here for 113 days?
Well, his days are occupied by legal visits and family visits. That's all I can say on the matter.
Attorney, a resolution has been filed urging the House of Representatives to oppose efforts to grant interim release and repatriation of former President of the Diguro Duterte. Will this have any impact on your request for interim release?
I don't want to comment on politics. I'm a lawyer. I deal with legal matters.
Attorney, the DOJ has offered protection and assistance to witnesses in the case against former President Duterte. This seems to be in contradiction to President Marcos' earlier statement that Philippines would not assist in any way. Malacanang now says that it isn't direct cooperation with the ICC. Do you agree?
Once again, that seems to be touching on politics. If witnesses come to court and they've been paid to come to court, then we will establish that when we cross-examine them.
Does our former president have any message to the Filipino people?
Respect the judicial process. That is his consistent message. Unfortunately, it seems that from some of the comments that you've been presenting me today by supposed counsel or legal assistance at the International Criminal Court, there is some form of non-respect for the judicial process, especially if comments are being made that countries offering Mr. Duterte interim release are basically offering a safe haven for despots.
Attorney, just to wrap this up, do you have any message to the Filipino people aside with what they have established respecting the judicial process?
Once again, respect the judicial process, respect the judges. We are confident and we're working towards bringing the former president home.